welcome to a brand new channel, a brand new video on this channel. And the reason for the video, we've signed a new manager. In 22 years, we finally got a new manager, guys. Unai Emery has signed for Arsenal. He's our new, let me not say manager, head coach. I'll get into that a little bit later. But first of all, the channel itself, it's just for everything to do with Arsenal, transfer updates, squad updates, match analysis, everything to do with Arsenal. I am a big Arsenal fan. I live, sleep, eat, breathe, live, if I can say twice, football. And you guys probably don't know who I am, obviously. I've been a couple of shows before. I've been on Premier League Fan Zone quite a couple of times. I've spoken to a couple of big guys about Arsenal specifically. Guys that include Leroy Rosenia, Robert Pires, part of the Invincibles. And the reason, obviously, that we are here today, as the thumbnail says, is finding out who is Unai Emery, our new manager, what he'll bring to Arsenal, what we can expect in terms of starting lineup, transfer targets. I know you guys love gossip. And the formation we'll be using, also the style of play. So we'll get straight into it. Why he was appointed, first of all? Well, there was a couple of big names linked to the job. Luis Enrique, Carlo Ancelotti, Max Allegri, Mikel Arteta, not so big, but definitely a fan favorite. And the reason Emery was chosen was because the board had appointed individuals in Wenger's era already. I'm talking about Sven Millinstadt. I really can't say his name, guys, but you know who he is. He's the Dortmund guy who has, just been a revelation since arriving. And obviously Raul Sonelli, the man with the thickest contact book. It's actually in the Guinness World Book of Records. Check this out. He's got the thickest contact book in football since his appointment at Barcelona. Just kidding. But what they wanted was a manager who would comply with these rules, that these guys, as well as our CEO, Ivan Gazidis, would obviously manage the club in terms of recruitment and everything to do with the club, and that the coach that brought in would just deal with on-field permutations and squad issues and squad building. And they obviously felt Emery was the best man for that, given that he's done it so particularly well at Valencia, Sevilla, and PSG. Obviously, at Valencia, you work with a very good footballing director who's world-renowned, Monkey. But nonetheless, that's what they wanted. And they also identified, besides what Gazidis has said today in the press conference about the team being good and, talentful and wonderful and whatever he said, they understand that the current team at Arsenal is average. And they needed a man who would take an average team and make that average team push above their weight. He's done so at Valencia. When David Silva was sold, when David Villa was sold, they still finished third. He's still pushing above his weight. He's done so at Sevilla, 3 Champions Leagues in a row. At PSG was a bit of a big job. Didn't work out so much for him. It wasn't a failure. It was sort of a success if you think about it. People mention the 6-1 against Barca, but he also beat them 4-0 before that. Can he, be questioned for the 6-1? Yes, he can as the manager, but the players need to be questioned as well, Obviously, mentality-wise, they were not that good. But he's a very technically renowned manager. Very similar to Arsene Wenger in terms of football love. We've heard Joaquin. If you don't know who Joaquin is, think of Jermaine Pennant. Jermaine Pennant's played for every club in the Premier League. Joaquin has done so in the La Liga. And he played under Emery for quite some time at Valencia. And he said that Emery is so obsessed with football. He thinks about football so much that it's actually a sickness. He actually gives players, video footage and makes them analyze, their own game style, their own mistakes, their own gameplay, and how can they can improve opposition gameplay and how they're going to beat the opposition, where their weaknesses are, how to attack. He gives them hours of footage to study, and he does so himself. So he's definitely a more tactically renowned manager, or more tactically focused manager than Arsene Wenger. And he's a very good man manager as well in terms of one-on-one action. He brings the best out of an average squad, and he needs to do that by helping the average players. And the current crop at Arsenal is very average. We've got 1 or 2 world-class players in terms of Aubameyang and Ramsey, and world-class showings, now and then by Mesut Ozil. And what type of style Emery plays, it's It's quite similar to Arsenal style, possession based, but he counterattacks quite quickly, and how he does that is to press high. And we see that in the modern game, pressing high is essential. We've seen it with Guardiola, we've seen it with Mauricio Pochettino, and we've seen it with Jurgen Klopp, who is probably one of the best pressing managers we've ever seen in the game itself. So definitely something to look forward to. More energy in the team. Last season we've seen too many times our team give up. They just didn't want to defend, which was terribly disappointed as an Arsenal supporter and Arsenal follower, club follower. So definitely more energy will be brought into the team by Emery. Formation-wise, we've typically seen him use, or I've typically seen him use, a 4-1-2-3, which can be seen as a 4-3-3. And the reason he uses this is because he's so dependent on this formation to work together to become narrow so that his full-backs can attack. We've seen that with Dani Alves, who's been critical to PSG under Emery. 35 years old, and he's still bombing down the right wing. Same with Livan Kurzawa. Obviously, had Alberto Moreno at Sevilla. So he does like an attacking fullback, and they do flourish. So it looks quite promising for Hector Bellerin as well as Sead Kolasinac. I do think Monreal will start in the beginning. I'll get to squad and the players in a bit. But that's the formation he'll be playing. And the way he plays this formation is quite narrow. Wingers stay quite tucked into the striker. Striker will fall back. Cavani at PSG, Bacca at Sevilla, David Villa at Valencia will fall back. And his wingers will press the defensive line and win the ball back, hopefully. And if that doesn't happen, his three midfielders, which is the most integral part of his team, the three midfielders that he uses are not very creative, if I can put it that way. I mean, at PSG had Motta, Verratti, and Rabiot, who are, in my opinion, all holding midfielders, deep-lying playmakers. Rabiot is definitely not a Ramsey. But I think Ramsey will be able to venture forward. And Verratti and Motta just controlled games. They're still very, very close to the defenders, and they would control the tempo, they would control the game, control the midfield. Everything would go through his midfield. And because they played so narrow, their left back and right back, their full backs would have enormous amounts of space. We've seen that with Dani Alves, with Livan Kurzawa, and the same can be expected with the Arsenal team. Bellerin will have enormous amounts of space. Nacho Monreal or Kolasinac, depending, will play. Also flourish on that side of the things. We get to the team. What team will he be using within this formation? We look at the current Arsenal team, and man for man, we cannot compare them to PSG. PSG's got Neymar and Mbappe, world class players. And we've got an average crop of players at the moment. But definitely, we look at the formation 4-3-3. And in polls, I do think Cech will be staying, guys. He's been given the number 1 shirt. I think a younger keeper will be signed to be his understudy, to learn the game from Cech. And then, in the next season, he will take over. At the back line, Bellerin on the right, all the way. He's Spanish. Unai Emery is Spanish. He wants an attacking fullback. Bellerin is there. He'll totally flourish. We'll see a new Bellerin under Unai Emery. Centre-back pairings. This is a bit of a tough one. Koscielny's out for 6 months. Shkodran Mustafi has just not been good enough since he signed for the club. It didn't work out for him at Everton. It is definitely not working out for him at Arsenal. I do see a centre-back brought in. And the best one that makes sense is Papadopoulos, Socrates Papadopoulos from Dortmund. Given Sven's close relations with Dortmund, I think Papadopoulos will be an option. And the reason it also could be a very good option is because that our young centre-back, who we've seen very good glimpses of, even though he had a shock against Leicester, is Mavropanos, who is also Greek. And I think bringing Papadopoulos into the team with Mavropanos will make his transition into the first team much better. And we could see a very solid partnership between those two Greek defenders within the Arsenal starting 11. Left back, at the start of the season, I see Nacho Monreal there. Just because he's Spanish, and just because obviously Unai Emery is Spanish, and because there's a language barrier between Kolasinac and Emery, I don't think he'll be able to get his message across to Kolasinac as quick as he wants. So I think we'll see more of Monreal in the beginning, and Kolasinac's role will be to study what Emery expects from his left back, and then he will slowly be brought into the team. Because I do think Kolasinac is a big player for Arsenal, in all terms, physically, literally. He's a massive beast of a player, and any Premier League manager would love him in the team because of his build. And then midfield-wise, given that he's always played with a strong centre defensive mid, a strong holding midfield, in Mota, in Mbia, in Krajkowiak, I think a centre defensive midfielder will be signed. It hasn't been addressed in so many years. We've missed it since Patrick Vieira left. Let's be honest. We haven't really had someone in there that could do the proper job. And I think that one will be signed. I'm not too sure who. But if one is not signed, I'm sure they will stick with Xhaka there, which is not the best idea, because Xhaka is not a defensive holding midfielder. He is a deep-lying playmaker like Verratti. He's got the Xabi Alonso-esque to him. He's a bit inconsistent with his passing, let's be honest, guys, but it could be down to confidence, because the Xhaka I've seen at Gladbach and in Switzerland is not the Xhaka we've seen at Arsenal. Maybe it's the stick from the fans, maybe it was Arsene Wenger's deployment of him, maybe he was isolated. We'll just have to wait and see. But I do think Xhaka will be in there. I think Ramsey will be in there. We've heard Emery say he's central to his plans. And I think a new midfielder could be brought in Jean-Michel Seri from Nice. And the reason I do think this makes so much sense is because Emery tried to sign him in January. He couldn't sign him because of financial fair play. Because PSG had just spent nearly £400 million on Mbappe and Neymar, which is crazy if you think about it. His release clause is 35 million euros. So given that we've got a 50 million pound transfer budget, I do think with that 50 million, Papadopoulos and Jean-Michel Seri could be brought in. And that would be our midfield three, the main part of his 4-3-3. Up front, obviously, on the right, we've got Mkhitaryan, who I see many similarities to Di Maria and how Emery used Di Maria in his PSG team. Very direct, can make anything from nothing, basically, Mkhitaryan. Very good signing that Sven conjured up once again. Up front, I do think it could be Lacazette. Just wait before you guys roast me. Lacazette, it could be up front. And Aubameyang from the left. And the reason I say Aubameyang from the left and not Ozil is because he expects his wingers to press the back line quite often during the game. And we all know Ozil being a wonderful number 10. That's all he is, a number 10. He's not a winger. He's not a left-sided player. He doesn't like pressing. Let's be honest. And I think Aubameyang can do the job with his pace. I think Emery could get the best the best out of Aubameyang from the left and the best out of Lacazette at number 10. We'll wait to see. We heard from the press conference that he does have a lot of plans for Mesut Ozil, and Mesut Ozil, one of the world-class players, blah, blah, blah. We heard all that. We heard Gazidis, blah, 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 and one about Arsenal as well. But that's definitely the starting lineup I see us using. Expectations for the season, Unai Emery? I think a top 4 finish would be successful. Given that Man City is miles ahead of us, Liverpool are miles ahead of us, Tottenham are miles ahead of us, United are miles ahead of us. So a top 4 finish could be, would be success, in my opinion. I do think he'll take the Europa League quite seriously. I don't need to tell you why. He's won 3 Europa Leagues. So definitely, he would definitely take the Europa League quite seriously. So that's what we can expect. Just to break it down, Unai Emery, we can expect a 4-3-3 formation. We can expect fast counter-attacking, energetic possession football. And I've given you the team that you guys can expect. So that's the first channel on this new, first video on my new channel. There will be much more. I've got a good transfer update video coming out on Friday. So please hit subscribe, like if you like the content, and support the channel. Please hit a like and comment if there's anything you think I could have added or anything I've missed. I'd love to hear from you guys. Football is a conversation. So you guys might disagree from my opinions, and I'd love to hear why. So please comment in the section down below. And that's it for now, guys. Have a gooniful day further. Peace.